Right now at noon, local law enforcement agencies are warning about the danger of driving under the influence this New Year's Eve.
It's a bit on the chilly side and certainly a bit breezy today, but there's going to be some clearing taking place. Plus, we have that Arctic blast to talk about. All those details coming up.
Plus, police seek information on an incident regarding last week's dumpster overfill in Afton, Oklahoma.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, 2 individuals have been identified in connection to a dumping incident in Afton, Oklahoma. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Elise Snowy. The Afton Police Department was able to locate pictures of the individual believed to have dumped on the ground in front of the dumpsters. Now, they've asked the public for any information regarding the 2 individuals in this photo or the incident. The incident in question resulted in the removal of a dumpster from behind the Afton City Hall. Trash on Friday piled over the dumpster until the access piled up around the area. Now, trash services were unable to empty the dumpster as the area was too piled up with garbage to get near the dumpster. Authorities believe they may have a suspect who is abusing the public dumpster. Now, you can find more information on the incident on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, residents in Joplin can expect to see some changes to their sewage rates in the new year. Residential users with small volume usage will see increases of 2.7% to 3% each year, while residential users with larger volume usage will see increases of 4.2% to 5.4%. Now, this increase, which passes the City Council this month, follows a recent rate study analysis of sewer operations. Now, the rate changes will begin with residents' April 2025 wastewater bills. Now, let's check in with Chris Warner for a look at the forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves still some cloudy skies out there for most of us. You can see that from our camera downtown Pittsburgh. And you see it shaking, still quite windy as well. MoDOT camera 20th and range line. It's another just cloudy look, but yeah, that's really about it. It's breezy, it's cold, it's cloudy. Yesterday started at 38, made it up to 62. That's not that far from a record, which the original one set back in 1951. So thankfully we didn't make it up that high, and we don't have to worry about those temperatures at any time soon. It's going to be getting cold. 42 Joplin, 41 in Pittsburgh. Again, not a lot of movement from this morning. So got a couple upper 30s out there and low 40s for most of us. And with those gusty northwest winds, still feels like 28 in Iola. Wind chills for most of us still in the 30s, so it does feel quite cold. As we head through the evening, skies will continue to clear, temperatures will continue to drop, and for New Year's Eve, we're going to be falling back into the 20s, and it's going to put our wind chills back into the low 20s and upper teens. And we do have some wintry weather on the way, and we also have that Arctic blast next week. We'll go over all those details with you in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Sky Watch weather app. You can get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM Sky Watch weather app. The Joplin Police Department has some sobering advice for drivers headed into the new year. New Year's Eve marks a night of celebration for many people in Joplin, and for some, alcohol will be involved. Captain Will Davis from the Joplin Police Department says there are plenty of options if you plan to make alcohol a part of your New Year's celebration.
Number one, we want to curb alcohol-related fatalities. Number one, this isn't the time of year where you want to be involved in a crash, especially where it impacts somebody's life or a family member's life. Somebody loses their life, and so you have those things. You have serious injuries that can happen on top of criminal-related charges that the potential felony charges that could come from it.
To learn more, you can head over to our website. Of course, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, Pittsburgh Police Department is making similar efforts to keep roads safe from driving while intoxicated on New Year's Eve. KOAM's Melissa Alexis has more on what initiatives they'll be taking.
Your life is worth way more than a New Year's party.
With New Year's right around the corner, many people have plans to enjoy gatherings with family or friends. And Marie Barclay and her granddaughter are no different.
For our family, we often just stay home, throw a big party, don't really go out a whole lot.
But for those that do plan to go out to celebrate, She says it's important to put safety first.
Darkness and two-lane roads and things like that can be very dangerous. So yes, please get a hotel, go someplace safe.
According to ksdot.gov, in 2022, Kansas had 2,167 alcohol-related crashes. Sergeant Travis Bowman with Pittsburgh Law Enforcement says to keep roads safe, Pittsburgh is participating in a campaign called Taking Down DUI, which runs from December 26th through January 2nd.
During this time frame, we also have officers out that are specifically focused on traffic and aren't dependent on calls, and they're not having to share traffic enforcement detail with just normal patrol duties. Like, they are specifically out there for traffic.
He says if you plan to drink on New Year's Eve, it's important to have a ride planned in advance.
Having someone come to pick you up, we have multiple rideshare services in town. Just make sure that you don't make enjoying the holidays like a last-minute scheduling thing.
Oftentimes you will find young people or family members who are willing to help you out, be designated driver.
And Barclay's advice to her granddaughter and to others:
Have fun, be young, enjoy yourself, but make a plan.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
According to KDOT, during the 2022 to 2023 New Year's Eve holiday period, there were 42 alcohol-related crashes in Kansas. Well, coming up, preparations are underway for the funeral of former President Jimmy Carter. And later, we're making Rise and Shine breakfast bake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Well, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly has called for flags to be flown at half-staff in honor of former President Jimmy Carter. The governor made the announcement yesterday in accordance with Executive Order 2030 and the proclamation signed by President Joe Biden. Now, flags are to remain at half-staff until January 28th. Jimmy Carter was the 39th president of the United States and was awarded the 2002 Nobel Peace Prize. Well, former President Jimmy Carter is being remembered as a citizen of the world and a hometown guy. CBS's Christian Benavides shares reflections pouring in.
Those who knew Jimmy Carter in his tiny hometown of Plains, Georgia, considered him a friend.
He ate what we ate, bacon and eggs, shrimp boils.
Neighbor Andy Walker often brought over homemade dishes for the Carters, who were a simple staple in their town of about 550 people. Grandson Jason Carter summed it up like this in an interview with CBS News.
He was the president for 4 years. He was the governor of Georgia for 4 years. And for the other 92 years of his life, he was just a citizen. And he considered that to be a high title.
For nearly half of his life, Carter was followed everywhere by a group of Secret Service agents at home.
We used to jog down this road here.
And abroad.
You had kids in Africa that lived in villages, and they were probably 6 and 7 or 8 year old, and they would be hollering, "Jimmy Carter, Jimmy Carter, Jimmy."
A motorcade will carry the former president here to the Carter Center Saturday to lie in repose through Tuesday morning. Now the places of his life, like Maranatha Baptist Church, are attracting visitors paying their respects.
To be able to show that kind of respect for such a great human being is, I think, can only be done in person.
Folks in Plains say the Carter spirit will live on.
They'll be here because we're all going to try and be a little kinder and step up our game and maybe do a little more for other people.
Just as Carter would have wanted. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Atlanta.
Although President Jimmy Carter may no longer be with us, his legacy continues to live on, including right here in the 4 states. The 39th president dedicated much of his life to advocating for affordable housing, providing quality homes for those in need. And through the Jimmy and Rosalind Carter Work Project, he helped build and renovate over 4,000 homes. We spoke with Joplin residents to hear their thoughts and reactions following the passing of the former president.
I'm very saddened. He was a great man. He was a visionary. He was seeing alternative energy way before anyone else was realizing it. I hated to see him go.
It kind of depressed me. He was a good man.
Well, some local residents said although they weren't affiliated with the same party as the president, his hard work and dedication was undeniable. Well, still to come on KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
You probably have everything ready for tonight, but do you have a game plan for when everyone wakes up tomorrow? We have just the thing.
And we are continuing to monitor the Arctic blast coming in, the big changes it's bringing. Details when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon. So if we've got a cloudy and cold day out there today, but it's going to get even colder and it's going to get a little nastier over the next several days. Quick look outside though, our camera downtown Pittsburgh. It is still cloudy and breezy out there. And as we take a look at the future track, there's a lot to go over and sometimes there's just not enough time to go over it, but we're going to try and get through it together here. For the rest of today, clouds will continue to clear from west to east as we head into the afternoon. The only place really getting a big impact from this might be Bartlesville, but I think for the most part, the sunshine, the extra sunshine that we'll see out west isn't going to really have that big of an impact on our temperatures today. Of course, it will have zero impact on our temperatures tomorrow. Well, mostly clear skies later this evening and into the overnight. So if you're celebrating tonight, a couple of things to keep in mind. Three things. One, as we've mentioned, do it responsibly. Two, it's going to get cold. Three, it's going to be windy, which will make it feel even colder. Now, eventually, as we head toward tomorrow morning, after the celebrations are over, the winds will begin to ease up a bit, but they'll still be gusting up to 20 tonight. So that's going to put wind chills into the low 20s and upper teens. If you do have any celebrations going on, you want to keep that in mind. Now, tomorrow, winds will be calm. We'll have a few clouds here and there. We're slow to warm up, but we'll eventually get into the low 40s. By noon, we're only into the upper 30s. Eventually, again, we do make the low 40s. And as we head into Wednesday evening, we see cloud cover increase across the area. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting because, in all honesty, I think the future track is entering a bit of a panic mode. Looking at some of the other data, I do not think that we're going to see as much snow in terms of coverage that it seems to think. I think most of this is going to fall as rain, but I will say a wintry mix may be possible by Thursday morning. So it's something to keep in mind as you're traveling. Even if it's just a rain-snow mix, it's still going to lead to slushy, slick spots here and there by Thursday morning during the commute. So you do want to watch out for that. We'll keep you updated on this. But again, looking at some of the snow data and look at snowfall totals, they're not even showing up for any of this. So that's why I think the future track is just going a little snow happy because it hasn't had any to show us for this entire season and it thinks it needs to. Well, unfortunately, we're going to get a good look at snow, it looks like, as we head into the weekend. Now, Doug's been talking about this, been going over everything. We're looking at an interesting situation as we head into the weekend, and I'll talk about that here in just a moment. But first, for the rest of today, again, low 40s, clouds gradually clearing, northwest breeze still gusting upwards of 30, 35 miles an hour. Tonight, still breezy, still cold, back into the 20s, and that's because, of course, without the clouds as a blanket over us, all the somewhat warm air we'll get will escape. Into tomorrow, similar to today, low 40s. The only difference is we'll have fewer clouds and calmer winds. Now, I want to talk about what happens as we head into this weekend because I guarantee all of you are seeing 800,000 different things on social media at this point, okay? That's the problem with winter weather, regardless, is it gets difficult. We've talked about that freezing line. It moves one way or the other by just that much, and everything's into chaos. Here's what the thinking is, and this has been fairly consistent, but changes could still happen. Sunday afternoon, we start with rain. I think some of these temperatures are a bit low on here. We're going to start with rain and see it start to transition and maybe some sleet, maybe some freezing rain before it switches over to snow by Sunday evening. The snow will last throughout Sunday night and into Monday early morning on Monday. It's something that we're going to watch very carefully because that's going to be right when a lot of folks may be going back to work after the holiday, a lot of kids going back to school on Monday. We're going to keep an eye on this. And I'm going to tell you right now, one of the main reasons we're not talking about any accumulation totals is I just looked at long-range data, has us anywhere from 5 inches to nearly 20 inches, okay? It's too wide of a spread. It's too far out. But as we get closer, we'll keep you updated on those possible accumulation totals. So we are looking at an increasing likelihood of accumulating snow as we go into Sunday and Sunday night. But as to how much, we're just going to have to kind of stay tuned and find out to be sure. After that, though, that Arctic blast sets in, and we are talking dangerously cold temperatures as we head into next week and the week following. This is going to stick around for a while. So we're talking highs in the teens and 20s and lows single digits or lower, and, of course, wind chills even lower than that.
All righty. Thanks, Chris. Well, stick around. We're making Rise and Shine breakfast bake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. Whether you've got company staying over for the holidays or you just had a long night, today's Mr. Food recipe is the perfect easy breakfast. Howard's making Rise and Shine breakfast bake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
No matter what you've got going on tonight, whether it's staying home for a quiet evening or you're planning on hosting or attending some sort of big bash, we have an idea to make sure that everyone wakes up to a Rise and Shine breakfast that's New Year's worthy. We start by combining some eggs and sour cream with a bit of onion powder and some salt and pepper. Now we whisk this together, and once it's smooth, we add all sorts of stuff. Some shredded hash browns, diced ham, broccoli florets, and a good amount of shredded cheddar cheese. We give it a good stir and pour this into a baking dish, and into the oven it goes. And since we use a bunch of freezer and refrigerated aisle shortcuts, it couldn't be easier. When this comes out of the oven and you serve this along with your breakfast favorites, everyone's going to be smiling ear to ear. To get the recipe for what we call our Rise and Shine breakfast bake, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard of the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a better breakfast way for you to say, ooh, it's so good. Have a happy and safe New Year.
Well, you can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Now here's a look at the 4-state market prices.
All right, skies continuing to clear today. Cold, breezy, cold but not breezy tomorrow. Low 40s. Could have a wintry mix Thursday morning. I think it's more likely it's going to be mostly rain, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. We're keeping a very close eye on Sunday for the possibility of accumulating snowfall and that big Arctic blast next week.
All right, lots to look out for. Thanks, Chris. Just a reminder, we will not be having a 5 p.m. newscast tonight as college football is taking its spot, but we will see you tonight on KOAM News at 6. Here's what's coming up. In Times Square, the world-famous ball will drop for the final time in its current form as it gets set for a makeover before this time next year. We'll take a look at what's in store for tonight's celebrations. Plus, we'll hear from members of the 4-state community on their goals and resolutions for the new year. And tonight we ring in 2025, and with all the holiday festivities often comes with firework displays. We'll have some safety tips before your New Year's Eve celebrations. You can join us for those stories and more on KOAM News at 6.
It's important to stay safe, and if you can, keep in mind those of us who will, have to be up at 2 a.m.
Absolutely.
Celebrate safely and responsibly.
That's an important note. Yes. Well, thank you for joining us on KOAM News at noon. Have a great rest of your day and Happy New Year.